St. Martin Heart and Stroke Foundation organizing the second Wear Red event with a mini symposium. Major sponsors postponed support of Carnival 2021, citing health and safety of paramount concern. And authorities of French St. Martin investigating a triple homicide in Grand Cause. Those are the headlines from Monday, January 25th, 2021. Good evening, viewers. This is SXM Daily News, and I'm Valerie from Twitter. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. And as usual, we have a full newscast for you, so let's get started. In our first story, authorities on the French side are investigating a deadly shooting incident. The sad event, which resulted in a triple homicide, occurred early Monday morning at around 4 a.m. in Grand Cause. One of the victims, a female who is believed to be between the ages of 40 to 45, is said to be from the Dominican Republic. The other two victims are said to be males, of whom one is reported to be 25 years old. Jean-Marc is a radio announcer with 101.5 FM in Marigot.
Well, what we know so far is that this was a early morning hours incident or shooting that took place in a bar in Grand Cause. 3 persons were shot dead, 2 male and 1 female. What we know for now is the female is from the Dominican Republic. The ages of the persons are around 45 to 40 to 45 years, and a younger person, 25-year-old. The victims were alleged to have weapons on them, at least 2 of them. So that is what we know so far. Information is still sketchy. We have not seen any press release as yet from, or received any press releases yet from the gendarmerie. So, as long as the investigation is ongoing, their method is to be pretty much tight-lipped about it.
And of course, it's our understanding that this incident occurred sometime early Monday morning.
Early Monday morning.
And now back on Dutch St. Martin, citing health and safety concerns and a lack of prior information from the St. Martin Carnival Development Foundation, the SCDF, 3 of the event's main sponsors, namely Motor World, International Liquors and Tobacco NV, and the Telem Group of Companies, have informed that they are postponing their support for the staging of Carnival 2021. In a jointly signed letter to SCDF President Mr. Alson Lawrence late on Friday, the 3 sponsors informed him that a meeting that took place on Thursday, January 21st, 2021, that made them come to their decision. All expressed concern that the carnival organizers intend to press ahead with St. Martin's premier touristic event despite the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic on St. Martin and around the world. The 3 sponsors also expressed disappointment in SCDF for not informing them first before having them read about the decision in the media and from third parties. A press release issued at the weekend states, "Upon careful deliberation and consideration, we are unanimous in our opinion and decision that irrespective of the cultural, tourism, and economic benefits motivating your decision, the health and safety of the community must remain of paramount consideration and importance. We therefore jointly agree that we will be postponing our sponsorship of Carnival 2021, the 3 main sponsors said in their letter to the SCDF president. That issue was put to the Chief Executive Officer at Telem Group, Kendall Dupersoy.
Well, as major sponsors, we were not aware that the Carnival Committee was planning this at such a late stage. We thought that we had no information with them, and that's why we mentioned in the press release that we were not informed prior to the Carnival Committee going to the public with it, so we were informed at the same time as the public. I think that is why we ended up at such a late date, if you want to call it a late date, with making that decision, because we made a decision based on the time that we found out that Carnival Development Foundation was going to engage in Carnival.
What is your primary concern?
The primary concern of all 3 of the sponsors are the health of the community. on the Friday after the Carnival Committee revealed their methods and stuff like that, we didn't think it was actionable to be able to provide a safe environment for Carnival to be held during this time. The numbers are going up. There's new strains of the virus that is more transmissible than the previous strains. So we were very concerned about it. So the main concern was the safety of the population. We think that, as mentioned in the press release as well, maybe later down when there are more people with a vaccine, we can have maybe a week-long celebration, and we would, as all three of us would be willing to support any foundation that would bring out something like that. If SCDF were to organize something like that, we would definitely try our best to support it.
I take it that your decision to postpone your sponsorship has been communicated to members of the SCDF. What are they saying, if so is the case?
The decision was communicated to SCDF prior to going to the media. Of course, we thought it was the only proper to inform the SCDF directly before going to the media with any kind of information. And I personally, or my team, has not gotten any direct reaction from any member of the SCDF as yet.
Wasn't Telem the sponsor of the outline that came out in the paper on Friday of the safe measures that SCDF spoke of, Mr. Dupasoy?
Yes, we were, but we felt that was an important thing for them to get it out to the public. SCDF reached out to us and said that they were not able to put the information out to the public because of financial difficulties. So we thought it only proper to allow them to put it into the media so that people can see exactly what the measures would be, and for us also to see the measures and see if there was any way that we could distinguish if it was a feasible way of having a safe carnival. And when we saw the measures, as the three of us, again as the main sponsors, we did not see that was a proper solution to having a safe carnival. There's no control in our opinion, so that's why we decided after looking at that we were not going to participate in this format with the Carnival Committee.
And on Friday last, January the 22nd, SXM Daily News also put the question to the SCDF president, who was in our studios, Alton Lawrence, as to why doesn't the SCDF postpone Carnival. He answered with this. The numbers go up and you have to close down.
Yeah, we
have to cancel.
down.
And you have to cancel.
Mm-hmm.
Will you consider, when I asked you about a plan B, will you consider holding it down later down in the year?
No, I won't.
Possibly.
We won't, because
when we would have an opportunity that hopefully most residents will have been vaccinated. Yeah. So we'll be we'll feel
then
a
we'll
little
wait till
safer.
next year. Then we'll wait till next year.
All right.
Yeah.
Why? Why won't you move
your placement
down?
in the year, remember the year's 12 months. Your placement is very strategic. Ours was placed originally to lengthen our high season, right, into April, which used to end in March. So all of those people that had temporary work would go another month. Mm-hmm. That's why we're there. If we go to the summer, we're competing with Anguilla, St. Kitts, Barbados, Grenada, all of those that celebrate around their crop over, which is in the summer. Our local people usually leave in the summer. Yes, students come down, but the most people leave. And so the summer is never a good time. After the summer, you have 3 months of hurricanes. True. Not a good time. Then in October, November, December, you have Dominica.
Maybe we can chase a hurricane away with Carnival.
you have Dominica. You have St. Kitts that are around the holidays. And in St. Martin, we're not used to partying that big around the holidays. Then 2 months later, we're back here in the end of January, February, Curacao, Aruba, Trinidad, and you go. So we have our place. For us to get up and leave it, to try for a much more riskier time, is not something we want to do, because guess what? People are going to say, but I see all you had pictures, all you had Carnival in October last year, man. Then we have to always do it then.
No.
Because next year they're not going to remember.
All you have to say is because of the COVID. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then they're going to say, how's the COVID this year? Are we in April again? We rather just keep it in our time, because we plan always it works well there.
And still to come, GEBE launches new commercial. We'll have the details of that story and much more when SXM Daily News returns.
Hi, I'm Switch.
And I'm Save.
And together we're here
to tell you about WIB, Switch, and Save Mortgage Offer.
Now at WIB, you can save and benefit from great specials when you decide
to bring your mortgage to WIB.
When you switch, WIB will offer you
payment of penalty fees up to 3 months interest,
payment of notary fees,
waive of bank closing fees,
and also the lowest interest rate.
Plus, you'll have the chance to win back 1 year of interest payment.
Visit any of WIB's mortgage specialists and benefit from WIB's Switch and
Hey, that's my part. And Save Mortgage Offer.
WIB, your partner in progress.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching SXM Daily News, and I'm Valerie from Pitton. The St. Martin Heart and Stroke Foundation is organizing their second annual Wear Red Day, a mini symposium on heart and rhythm on Friday, February the 5th, 2021. The symposium will be streamed live. President of the foundation, Ms. Martha Hewitt, spoke to our news department about their past accomplishments.
In the past, last year we had a very successful first annual Dress Red or Wear Red event, which was held at Motor World. We had over close to 400 people in attendance. Yes, it was very successful. We had Dr. Bird, Dr. Bell, and we had a cardiologist, Dr. Abraham Bouillon from the French side, which is also a French cardiologist. And we had a section of different psychologists who were able to give some information about caretakers and patients, because after suffering a stroke or heart attack, it's not something very easy. It affects your family, especially if the patient is a breadwinner, so it takes a toll on the entire family. And we also had testimonies from patients who had different heart diagnosis, and that was done with Dr. Bird, identifying those patients, making sure that they were ready to go public with their diagnosis. So it was very, for me, overwhelmed with all of the support we received. We also had a stroke day, which we held in conjunction with the St. Martin White and Yellow Cross. So that was held summer 2019, right? Yes, and that was another very successful event. We had close to 200 persons in attendance at the White and Yellow Cross. And that event were mainly catered to specifically stroke patients. So we had persons in attendance, caretakers, the physical therapists, the patients, their family, persons in walking with their canes, persons in wheelchair. They all came out to get the information. And the guest speaker for that was Dr. Rico, who is a neurologist. Once a patient is diagnosed or has a stroke, that's where the neurologist comes in, and they're the one who takes over after the cardiologist.
Now you're holding a mini symposium. Why a mini symposium?
Well, a mini symposium is a symposium with different speakers speaking about a particular topic. And in this event, our topic is the heart and the rhythm.
Now, this is going to be from what time to what time?
6 to 9 p.m.
6 to 9 p.m.
Yeah, the location is undisclosed because it's not for the public.
And SXM Daily News will have a conversation with the cardiologist, Dr. Emiko Bird-Lake, in tomorrow's edition of SXM Daily News. And turning now to other news, through a series of commercials, NVGEBE is hoping to educate residents as it pertains to the company and its objectives, which is to serve the community of St. Martin optimally. Against this backdrop, the company held a commercial launch on Friday, January the 22nd. During the event, which took place Friday afternoon, the enormous contribution to the company by former managing directors and/or chief executive officers was highlighted. Those persons included, among others, the late engineer Julius Lambert, the Honorable Minister of Romy, who is also the shareholder representative of NVGEBE, Egbert J. Doran, as well as members of the supervisory board of the company, was also on hand for the occasion. The interim managing director at NVGEBE is Dr. Shireen Daniel. While speaking at the commercial launch ceremony, she explained why they were working towards enhancing their transparency. One of NVGEBE's short-term goals is to enhance transparency, she said. The idea, according to her, is to inform the public more.
One of NVGEBE's short-term goals is to enhance our transparency. How do we do that? We start to inform the public more of our ongoing situations, our informations, while being time conscientious, shall I say. Besides that, we decided to be more adherent. We decided to acknowledge more. We decided to listen more. We decided to let the people of St. Martin know we hear you. We know your challenges, we're acknowledging them, and we're working towards solutions, which will be continued as GB. Ultimate aim is to head to operational excellence. So when this commercial was presented to me, one of the things I said to myself was, wow. And I said, this is just the beginning. Why do I say this is just the beginning? Because when you look at the commercial, you realize this is not just an NVGB commercial. This is a commercial that can relate to the people of St. Martin, the community. This is where we're going to bridge that gap. We're going to show the community that they are entitled to good customer care. They are entitled to reliability that we have to offer. And my few words that I took from the commercial was perseverance, determination, hard work, teamwork. But most importantly, one that hit home was dreams can come true. Why do I say dreams can come true? That hit home to me. When you sit back and you look at the history of NVGB, when it comes to all the managing directors that sat at the helms, while I would say they're so numerous to mention, because you had CFOs, you had COOs, I will zoom it in solely now to the CEOs, which was first known as managing directors. For example, let me start off with the late, great Mr. Julius Lambert, who not only left footprints in my heart, but I'm sure he did as well in NVG, and he left big shoes to be filled. Mr. Julius Lambert, I remember, started out doing trench work, then decided to realize his goals and dreams, went to the Netherlands, studied, enhanced himself, equipped himself with not only the education but the expertise as well as experience, returned home, worked into GB, and with his hard work, determination, his perseverance, or should I say his blood, sweat, and tears, resulted in Mr. Lambert being appointed as the managing director of NVGB. And up to present has been the only managing director that has sat at that helm permanently. I will move on to another director, which would be the late Mr. William Brooks. I have had the pleasure of working with Mr. William Brooks for a short term, but he had a beautiful vision, must I say, for NVGB. However, it was only partially realized.
And as we continue now in other news, a member of Parliament, the Honourable Claudius Tonchaban-Camper, elucidated on the legislation of the breathalyzer that the Member of Parliament feels needs to be introduced on the island. The MP also told our news department that noise pollution is also of serious concern. However, it is a little different because it does not fall into the traffic ordinance like the breathalyzer does. These two issues are included in the U.S. Party's plan of action for 2021.
When the police stop somebody, they can test them on alcohol by telling them how to walk. And if the person is impaired in a sense that he has a balance disorder, he's drunk. Or if he looks drunk or if he smells drunk, that's your personal observation as a police officer. And you have that right. And based on that, you can act. You can act. Doesn't mean to say that it is so. To legally lock that down, because there's another way, they can arrest you, take you to the police station, and then have a judge of instruction force you to take a blood test. They can also do that. But you can deny it. You also have rights. You understand? But if we legalize the breathalyzer, when their control stops, the gendarmes love to do this. Every Sunday after Boo Jam, they used to be waiting around the corner. And any car will look like he come out too fast or he wobble a little bit, they stop him and they do a breathalyzer test. Because there and then they can see if you are under the influence of alcohol, yes or no. And they can take corrective actions there and then. That's what our officers and the police force of St. Martin also needs. They need to be able to have this tool to do their jobs more efficient and more effective. That's the reason for the breathalyzer. It came out of discussions with police officers and myself that it is one of their shortcomings and it really hampers them very often in the work. And I said, not an issue. I will pick it up, and I am happy to say that the initiative draft has been, let me rephrase, the request to start the initiative draft law has been handed in to Parliament, to the Griffie, and they're busy reviewing it now to see which laws will be affected, etc., etc. So we started it.
And noise pollution also?
Same thing, but a little different, because noise pollution doesn't fall in the traffic ordinance, for example, where the breathalyzer falls. I think noise pollution will fall, for example, in the general police ordinance, where we'll have to see how we work it in there to justify that police can reach and shut down a place because of noise pollution, stop somebody on the beach who got a trunk open with boom boxes on, disturbing other beachgoers, people having a barbecue, but they're playing music for the whole neighborhood. While you have the law of neighborhood nuisance, you need to be able to anchor it properly. That if these people go to court tomorrow and say, yeah, the police shut me down because I said I had noise and blah, 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 I lost $5,000, I want to be compensated for such. The police said, no, here's the report, here's the pay fee. And we measured it, and this was the result of the measurement. Coming there and saying, yeah, I find it was too hard, that's all nice and well, but that might be a weak footing in courts. So again, to give the police a tool to function effective and efficient, that law too, that initiative has now been handed in by Parliament, and we are looking at it. And naturally, remember, Economic Affairs also has a policy on noise, and their inspectors just go around and measure and so. But again, it's a policy. So they, in the law, they can shut down the business, but they can't prosecute the business, for example.
Now, turning to our weather forecast for January 25th, 2021. Patches of low-level clouds associated with a prefrontal trough will cause isolated showers across the region. Seas are expected to gradually deteriorate and peak at 7 feet during this forecast period. Small craft operators and sea bathers should continue to exercise caution. So the outlook through Wednesday midday, partly cloudy with isolated showers possible. Now, let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, MJP on St. Martin thanks educators and healthcare workers. I'll have the details to that story when SXM Daily News returns.
The innovative Banco Matico contactless smart card. Your Banco Matico smart card is now equipped with a contactless feature for payments, so get ready to tap and go. Contactless payments are fast, easy, secure, and accepted worldwide at all Maestro-enabled contactless terminals. Tap for transactions equivalent to or less than 100 NAF, or the US dollar equivalent. You will receive notifications via email anytime you tap. Tap, tap, and pay fast. Fast with WIB. For more information, visit our website at wib-bank.net. Tap and go with your partner in progress.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching SXM Daily News. And as we continue now with this COVID-19 local update, as of January 24th, there were 14 persons who tested positive for COVID-19. However, 3 persons have recovered, bringing the total active cases to 145. The total number of confirmed cases is now 1,749. The Collective Prevention Services, CPS, are monitoring 145 people in home isolation. No patients are currently hospitalized at the St. Martin Medical Center. The total number of deaths due to COVID-19 remains at 27. The number of people recovered since the first case surfaced on St. Martin has increased to 1,577. 271 people are in quarantine based on contact tracing investigations carried out by CPS. The Ministry of Public Health, Social Development and Labor, VSA, the Airport Health Team, in collaboration with the Healthcare Laboratory St. Martin, HCLS, have tested 2,279 travelers arriving at the Princess Juliana International Airport, while CPS has tested 13,533 people throughout the community. As the numbers continue to fluctuate, CPS will continue to actively execute its contact tracing measures. Minister of Health Pandafleck would like to remind everyone to wash your hands, keep your distance, and wear a mask when in public places. And as we end this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening, in more news out of French St. Martin, the political organization on the French side, MJP, under the leadership of Councilman Louis Mussington, is saying thank you to the many persons, including the island's educators, who he said went beyond the call of duty to assist students during the closing of the schools due to the COVID-19 pandemic last year. While speaking at the organization's first press conference for the year, the MJP also recognized the tireless contribution of healthcare providers, among other essential personnel. Leader of the MJP, Louis Mussington, who had some encouraging words for, in particular, the frontline workers, also reflected on some of the many challenges endured in 2020 as well.
Thank you to all the educators who went beyond the call of duty to make sure that our students had their full attention during the closing down of the schools as a result of the pandemic. We say thanks to the professionals in healthcare who are on the front line taking care of our people. We recognize and acknowledge the committed efforts of the cultural activists and those in the sports field who are working tirelessly with our young people. We recognize and acknowledge as well, and we say thank you to those who are consistently carrying out their programs to keep our environment clean and protected. May you all find in the year 2021 the renewed energy to continue your noble efforts. As we look back briefly on 2021, we would easily conclude that it has been indeed a full challenging year full of difficulties. To list a few, the sanitary situation leading up to the useless closing of our borders, disregarding our cultural heritage and way of life as a people, the high unemployment rate among our young people, the social despair affecting many families on the island who are still, after 3 years, without a decent rooftop. Local companies left out of the reconstruction process on St. Martin. Sadly, the political image of our island has been completely tarnished by various scandals leading up to various court cases involving our elected leaders. And this is not an exhaustive list of difficulties. In spite of those troubling situations, we as a people have a moral obligation to remain very hopeful about the future. Our movement, the Movement for Justice and Prosperity, is ready and determined to assume its role in helping shape the destiny of our homeland.
And with that, viewers, it brings us to the end of this edition of SXM Daily News. I am Valerie Pumperton, thanking you so much for joining me this evening. And just a reminder that this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmartinmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of the SXM Daily News team, we thank you so much for watching and plan on meeting you right back here again tomorrow.